Alright everybody, welcome back. So I had originally intended this video to be, kind of a sale video, but a different light than pretty much everyone else, because I expected people like, Devin, who released his video today on which rank 7 premiums to buy. I didn't want to do something that was basically the same video, so I was going to focus on one aircraft that I think gets overlooked and is a really great buy, great fun. Well, Gaijin kind of pulled a surprise, and they didn't put the Kfir Canard and most of the other rank 7 premiums, at least the good ones, on sale. Now, I'm going to throw up a little thing on screen here, which premiums I would actually recommend buying, which ones are kind of mid, and which ones I would just tell you just avoid at all costs. But that's not the focus of this video. I'm still going to be talking about the Kfir Canard because this is an excellent aircraft, and I really love this plane. It's my favorite rank 7 premium. Just unfortunately, it's not on sale today. So I guess keep this in mind for in the future if you want to buy it on sale, or if you just want to go ahead and pick it up anyways, because it is still great fun. And I'm not going to say it's worth $70. But if I was gonna buy a $70 pack, this would most likely be it. Now, let me elaborate. I do want to go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. I'm just going to be talking about the plane itself and not necessarily the tree. Now, Israel is going to have good options going forward. Of course, they already have the F-16. They can get more versions of it. They're also going to get the F-15, which I personally expect to come in December. But they are still a much smaller tree. So if you're looking for a lot of diversity, if you're looking for unique aircraft, if you're looking to get a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to grinding out an entire tree, the Kfir Canard is not the choice for you. Something like the F4S, the F5C, which is what I would recommend over the F4S. The F5C is an excellent buy. Or, something like the MiG-23 ML is going to be your best bet. You're going to get a much bigger tree with a ton of diversity, and they're still very good aircraft, right? Now, the Kfir Canard, I would say, is the most fun out of the rank 7 premiums to fly. And it does give you a very fast grind. The tree is much shorter. It's just you don't get a ton of bang for your buck with it, which is why I would recommend if you're going to buy it, wait for it to go on sale, which I guess is going to be Christmas at this point. Anyways, when it comes to flight performance, this thing is a dream to fly. Now, it is a delta wing, and if y'all are familiar with deltas, their big thing is speed bleed, right? One of the nice things with the Kfir, at least, is that if you're at high speed, it does actually compress, which sounds kind of intuitive. Like, why would you want it to compress? But it doesn't compress by like a drastic amount. You're still going to be sitting there pulling 10 or 11 Gs, even while you're well above Mach most of the time. It's just the difference is that you're not going to be sitting there bleeding all of your speed whenever you're trying to go for somebody. Now, whenever you do get at a lower speed and you start pulling, you will bleed a ton of energy. Now, you can use this to your advantage. Like if you're behind an F5, for example, you don't even have to pop your air brakes. You can literally just pull. Like, just pull your nose around, and you're going to start losing speed. Which is really useful if you're already behind somebody. It's really useful if you're trying to get them to overshoot. The only problem is, if you're sitting there in a sustained turn fight, eventually you might run out of energy. It depends on what plane you're fighting. The nice thing about the Kfir Canard is the Israelis took an American engine, the J-79, and they stuck it in the Mirage airframe. And so you have a much better thrust-to-weight ratio than the other Mirages while still having that nice light airframe. This makes all the Kfirs handle exceptionally well, and they also have good thrust-to-weight or great thrust-to-weight ratios, especially at high speeds. The Kfir actually out-accelerates, well, at least the Kfir C7 does. I haven't tested the Canard or the C2. But the Kfir C7 actually out-accelerates the MiG-29 and the F-16 above Mach, which is really exceptional. The only problem is that they are still very much airframe limited, and if you're not careful when you're in a dive, like you see I reduced throttle very much right here, you will go ahead and rip your wings. The other Kfirs with their bigger Canards pull a little bit harder, and I have had them G-rip, but I've actually never managed to G-rip the Kfir Canard. I don't know if it's like impossible, but I have certainly never done it, and it's much less often than someone like the Kfir C2 or the Kfir C7. So you can really abuse your high AOA, your high G pull in this thing, and then actually go ahead and get back up to speed as well, using your engine power. Ordinarily, I would sing the praises of the Defas. I have always loved these guns. They have been an excellent choice for me. The only problem is right now, guns are bugged. You probably noticed this, but all cannons are doing a lot less damage than they were last patch. It's not like a return to real shatter as far as I'm aware. Gaijin themselves, at least their moderators, have said that it's a bug. They're aware of it and working on it. But as of right now, the Defas aren't nearly as reliable as they were. I've actually returned to firing the default ones just because it's half AP, half HE. Just because the HE shells aren't doing as much damage as they normally do right now. You're going to get a lot of crits and a lot of hits. I've had a lot of people still in my kills because of that. Ordinarily though, and if you're watching this video in the future after they fix this bug, these guns typically one shot. You'll hit somebody, they explode. Especially, they love doing like fuel explosions. That's the big thing with Defas, and they are excellent for that. You get plenty of trigger time, they normally have good damage, and while their velocity isn't the best, they do have great inertia, so they're going to maintain that velocity at range. You're still not going to be able to hit something as far as like an M61, for example, but you don't have nearly as much of that speed drop-off as you see with the, the 20 mils and stuff like that. So they are, at least in my opinion, much easier to aim at range because they're so consistent, if that makes sense. One thing to keep in mind while you're dogfighting is that you do have relatively limited countermeasures. You only get 36 countermeasures max. If you like running chaff like I do, just because climbing is what you need to do in this aircraft, is airframe limited, so you'll rip on the deck if you're not careful. Make sure you climb. This thing excels at high speed and high altitude. But regardless, if you're running chaff, that means you only get 18 drops of countermeasures. Now, 18 is more than enough for most circumstances. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just something to keep in mind. You can't just sit there and be in a furball constantly. You do have very limited sustainability. Although you can run without chaff if you really want to, because this thing is 10.7, which has a much better matchmaker. That then gives you 36 drops, but with the proliferation of stuff like the AIM-9C, personally, even with the good 10.7 matchmaker, I really wouldn't recommend running only flares. It's just you're going to have to be very careful about how many that you use. That reminds me though, I haven't even talked about the kit. First of all, please, for the love of God, do not bomb. I swear, this is such a good fighter, and I see people loading this thing up with bombs and just bomb trucking the entire game. I beg of you, do not waste the potential of this plane like that. It makes me so angry. You get a great light fighter with an excellent thrust to weight ratio, and what do? You strap half its weight of bombs on it and absolutely ruin the performance. Now, besides that, you do also get only 2 air-to-air missiles, but these are excellent ones. This is the AIM-9G. It has great range, 18G pull, decent flare resistance. It's not like unflareable. Most of the time, it's not going to do what you saw right there. It's got the same flare resistance as something like the AIM-9J, for example. But the biggest thing is just going to be how exceptional it is at range. And 18G pull, while not like insane, is more than enough to hit pretty much any maneuvering target. They're not going to be able to just normally dodge this. They're going to have to use flares or terrain or something else like that. The 9G does get radar slaving, which you can use with your little radar gun sight right there. That's the only real use I found for the radar gun sight, is to slave the missile. And so this will give you some limited off-bore sight capability. It's no R73, but I have had some of these hit some pretty crazy shots overall. So the only limit here is that you only get 2 missiles. Overall though, this is literally my favorite Rank 7 Premium. I'm really disappointed it didn't go on sale, but I mean, hey, hopefully it will for the December patch, which Eagle should be coming then as well, by the way, which the Israelis will also get. Hope you all enjoy the video. Catch you all next time, so peace, y'all.